Hello, this is Terry and welcome to my next part of my mini teardrop camper build, and I think this is going to be part 16, and I'm going to try and finish all my electrical work. The first thing I'm going to do in this video is to mount a little junction box right here so I can make all of my AC and DC connectors in that box. My AC here, my DC power here, and both AC and DC going out the bottom hole. I'm going to mount it like this and have a face plate. And I'm trying to build everything so I can have access at least to most of the connectors to everything. So that's going to be from my front panel, where my switches are, which you saw in the last video, to this one right here. Okay, sorry I wasn't able to show you more work, but it is a confined space and it was pretty tight in here. So I've got my junction box installed. I've got my panel connected. I got my AC connections done to my receptacles. These splice connectors here, I'm using that for the DC 12 volts to USB. And then for the cable here, I've got a wire nut and also a barrel connector here. That's going to be my secondary DC power going up that way. So since all the AC is connected, let's go ahead and do some testing. Okay, to test my AC receptacles, I'm just using a regular wall outlet here to simulate shore power at a camper site. Test these USB. This is going to be AC to USB output here, and I'm going to test that with a USB speaker charger, and let's get that and test these out. Okay, let's test the USB connectors here, AC to USB, and I've got a Bluetooth speaker. Yeah, it's shaped like a Death Star. So let's plug that in, and if it's charged, the red light will come on. Okay, that port works. That port. My AC power works fine. I need to go ahead and start connecting up the power cables to my power buses and to my selector switch here, and then run all the power to, sorry for the lighting, to my switch panel here. So let's go ahead and get started connecting the power cables coming into the bus. I've got my primary and secondary DC switch connected, and that red wire on the bottom is connected to my positive terminal back in the back there. I'm going to go ahead and mount this because this is just the positive voltage switching. I'm going to have a common ground for everything, so everything's going to connect to the black bus bar in the back there, the negative bus bars. So let me go ahead and get the switch installed. Okay, I've got my primary, secondary DC source switch installed. I've also connected my switch panel up to my positive and negative bus bars. And I also want to point out too that what I made was a couple of negative pigtails. It's got one connector with 3 out, and there's another one in the back there with 3 connectors out. So as I start now connecting my devices to the power, on the switch panel, the positive will go, here's the switches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the positive will go on this side of the switch, and the negative will be plugged into one of these connectors here. So I can run, each device at one time and do my testing. So I think the first device I'm going to connect to is go ahead and connect up the porch lights that I've already got installed. So let's go ahead and work on that. I'm ready to test my switch panel out and my porch lights, and this is the first time I've connected a battery. So I've got a little connector, a little adapter here, and I've got just my spare lawnmower battery I've got to add in the shed, 12 volts. So I'm going to connect this up. Then what we'll do is go into the inside of the cabin and see how everything works. So let's go ahead and connect this up. So I've got negative on this side, positive on this side, and of course I got a fuse here too just in case. So let's go in the inside and take a look. So right now I don't have any power. Matter of fact, let me turn this light off up here. Okay, got no power. Let's go to primary. And hey, it worked. I got primary here. I've got 12.5 volts. Of course, that battery needs to be charged. My other lights here. This is a switch I've got my porch lights connected to. Let's switch that on. The light on the driver's side, and my lights on the passenger side. So great. So let's continue putting some lights in. Got my ceiling lights connected now, so let's turn primary power on. There we go. And this is the switch I've used for my ceiling light. So let me hit that. And when I do that, we'll have that on. Bingo! That ceiling light's on, and the other side ceiling light's on. Okay, next up, I'm going to run the wires to my galley light. I've got my galley LED light wire ran, and I'm going to test that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn primary power on, and I designated this one as my galley lights. So let me turn that on. So yeah, I got 12.45 volts. So yeah, I've got power to the wires. So I'm going to have my galley lights ran, so that's a good thing. So next up, I think I'm going to run my fan wire. Okay, I've got my multimeter set up to check for the voltage for my fan. I can't install my fan until I get the roof on, but I went ahead and connected up. I've got a fan switch here, and go ahead and turn it to primary power to get power. And of course, that should be 0 volts, which it is. I'm going to turn the fan on, and now I do have 12.46 volts. So very good, that works fine. And the next task is to install some reading lights. Okay, I've got my reading lights in, got them installed. I got my battery connected. Let's go ahead and test those. So let me turn on primary power. I've got voltage. I've designated this switch as the reading light switch, so let me turn that on. That's on, and that's okay because these lights have switches under here. So that light works, and that light works. So it looks really good. And the next thing I'm going to test is my backup DC power, and I'll be back to test that. Okay, I'm going to test my secondary DC option, and to use that I have to use AC power, and this is going to be my simulated shore power, campground power, generator power, and I've got it connected to the connectors that I'm going to use whenever I get the mounting plate in and everything covered. So it's going to be connected like this. So let's go on the inside and let's do a test. Okay, this is my AC to DC converter here. So let me go ahead and plug that in to my AC outlet. And now I'm going to plug the cigarette lighter portion into my cigarette lighter secondary DC supply. Really shove it in there. That's going to be my backup voltage running from AC. And I'm getting 12.6 volts. Works very well. Let's see if the inside cabin lights come on. Very good. Let's see if my reading lights come on. Very good. I'm happy with that. So that is my AC to DC backup. So I don't have to use my battery when I've got AC power available. I can power all my DC devices from here. For my last electrical test, I've still got my AC supplied. I've also got my DC supplied. And I'm going to test the switch that will switch between my AC coming in and my DC coming in. That's going to power my DC devices inside the cabin. Let's go to the battery first. And my battery works fine. 12.2 volts. I've still got my lights on. Turn this off. No power whatsoever coming in. Let's go back to my AC power. AC power. 12.6 volts, which is good. Power on my inside cabin lights, my reading lights, my outside lights. Everything works great. So I am very happy with the testing. Great, since my electrical devices and electrical system checked out good, let's go ahead and mount this panel permanently. I did go ahead and inspect the inside to make sure I don't have anything that could short, any possibilities of naked wires or anything like that. So I've checked that out. So let's go ahead and start mounting this panel. Remove my little temporary holding tables. Got my power panel installed. I've got all of my electrical connections and cable runs checked out. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and stop this build video here. And in the next build video, I'm going to put in the insulation on the top and probably also try to roll the thin plywood on top of the roof and get that in place. And I really appreciate you guys continue to watch my build series. Please continue watching, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next build video. Thanks.